It's your chance to be ruthless.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be...
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into the world of Grace Mulgrew.
Oh yeah, Grace Mulgrew.
A popular YouTuber.
Yeah, very popular.
Who has really, I think, captured something special with her two channels, Grace's World and Grace's Room.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned before we started recording that you were really impressed by her millions of subscribers.
Oh yeah, she's got a huge following.
Across those two channels. And honestly, so am I. It's quite a journey to go from, starting with those Barbie doll animations that we saw from her early days to where she is now with the lifestyle vlogs.
Right, and being Australian adds like a really interesting sort of flavor to it.
Yeah, I was really interested to see that too.
Yeah.
So, let's start with those early days.
Okay.
With Grace's World. I mean, how on earth did she manage to build such a large following at such a young age with those Barbie animations?
Well, that's what's fascinating to me.
Right.
I mean, those early videos, they were seemingly simple, but they obviously struck a chord with viewers. I mean, you even highlighted this in your notes.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised too. Like, what was it about those videos that, resonated so strongly?
Well, I think there are a couple of things at play here.
Right.
First, Grace tapped into a niche that wasn't overly saturated at the time.
Okay.
There were plenty of toy reviews out there.
Right.
But Barbie animations with that level of storytelling were less common.
Yeah, that's true.
And second, she demonstrated just like a genuine passion and creativity that really shone through.
Yeah.
Even in those early videos.
It's like she was making mini movies.
Exactly. It was more than just playing with dolls, She was building a world, and that creativity, I think, really set the stage for her future success.
Totally. And then as she grew older, that creativity kind of evolves, right? And that's when we see the creation of Grace's Room.
Right.
And that shift to personal vlogs.
Yeah, and that allowed her to connect with her audience on a deeper level, I think, by sharing her daily life routines challenges.
Right.
It's kind of a common thing you see. A lot of creators start in one genre.
Yeah.
And they evolve as they mature and as their audience matures.
And that's a really interesting parallel, right?
It is.
I mean, what are the benefits and challenges, do you think, of such a transition?
Well, I think for Grace, she was able to bring that same storytelling ability from Grace's World.
Right.
But now it was focused on her own life.
Yeah.
It was a natural progression,
Yeah.
that allowed her audience to grow with her.
Now, you've been following her for a while now.
Oh, yeah, for a long time.
So have you noticed how she incorporates elements of Australian culture into her videos?
Oh, definitely. There's a distinct Aussie charm that permeates her content. It's subtle.
Right.
Not in your face, but it's there.
Okay.
The way she speaks, her sense of humor, even the location she features, all contribute to the sense of place. For example, in one of her recent vlogs, she took her viewers on a trip to a local market. And it was fascinating to see all the unique Australian products and produce.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a travel vlog per se,
Right.
but it gave her audience a glimpse into her daily life in Australia.
And that kind of authenticity is what resonates with viewers, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's like we're getting a genuine glimpse into her world.
Right.
Not just a polished, manufactured persona.
It's interesting because she challenges that notion that you need to conform to a certain mold to be successful online.
Right.
But her success shows that embracing your individuality, including your cultural background, can be a major strength.
Yeah, and that must be especially powerful for her Australian viewers. It's like seeing yourself represented on screen, which can be incredibly validating.
It creates a sense of community.
Exactly.
Even across geographical boundaries.
Yeah, it's like she's saying, hey, it's okay to be yourself wherever you're from.
It's interesting how she manages to appeal to a global audience while still staying true to those roots.
Right.
It's like she's found that sweet spot between being relatable and unique.
And that's a tough balance to strike.
Yeah.
Especially in the world of online content creation where there's so much pressure to fit in.
definitely, speaking of growth,
Yeah.
you highlighted this point in our notes
Yeah.
that Grace hitting 1 million subscribers on Grace's World was a major turning point in her journey.
Yeah. It was huge.
What kind of impact do you think that has on a young creator?
Well, it's a huge turning point. It's not just about the vanity metrics.
Right.
It's about the validation, the recognition that you're doing something that resonates with a large audience.
Yeah.
It can open doors to new opportunities, brand collaborations, even potential career paths beyond YouTube.
Oh, wow.
But it also comes with pressure.
Pressure in what way?
Well, suddenly you have a much larger audience with higher expectations. You have to maintain that level of quality, stay relevant, and keep those viewers engaged.
And that's a lot to handle.
Especially for someone so young.
Especially since Grace was already transitioning to more personal vlogs with Grace's Room around that time.
Exactly.
So it's like she was choosing to share more of herself.
Right.
Even as the stakes got higher.
And that's what makes her journey so compelling.
Yeah.
She's not afraid to evolve, to experiment, and to be vulnerable with her audience. And that kind of authenticity is what truly sets her apart.
Yeah, she's a really unique creator.
She is.
And I'm really fascinated to see where she goes from here.
Yeah, me too.
So let's talk about that next.
Okay.
What are the motivations for creators like Grace to share their lives online?
Yeah, why do they do it?
What is it about this whole world of content creation that drives people to, put themselves out there in such a public way?
Right.
I mean, is it for connection?
I think it's a mix of things. For some, it's self-expression. The desire to share their thoughts, experiences, and creative output with the world.
Okay.
For others, it's about connecting with like-minded individuals and building a community around shared interests.
Okay.
And let's not forget the potential for financial gain.
Right. There's a whole business side to this too.
Yeah.
I mean, Grace has mentioned brand collaborations. And I know a lot of creators, earn a living through sponsorships and merchandise sales.
Exactly. And that adds another layer of complexity to it.
Right.
It's no longer just about passion and creativity.
Right.
It's also about building a brand, marketing yourself, and negotiating deals.
Wow. So it's a whole other career path almost.
Yeah. And staying relevant in a constantly evolving digital landscape.
Right. And that's the other piece of it.
It is.
How do you stay on top of everything?
Yeah.
It's a lot to juggle.
Yeah, it is.
Being a content creator these days.
Absolutely.
So speaking of, staying relevant and staying on top of trends, Grace has hinted at exploring new content ideas and collaborations.
Right.
Based on what you've seen from her work in the past, where do you see her going next?
Well, I think she's going to continue pushing creative boundaries,
Okay.
She's already demonstrated a knack for storytelling.
Right.
Whether it's with Barbie dolls or her own life experiences. I wouldn't be surprised if she explored more scripted content.
Oh, really?
Perhaps even short films or web series.
Wow. That's cool.
She's also mentioned an interest in music.
Right.
So we might see her incorporate that more into her videos.
Yeah, I can totally see her creating music videos or even original songs.
And with her large and engaged following, she has a built-in audience for whatever she chooses to create.
That's true.
It's really exciting to think about the possibilities.
It is, but one thing that strikes me about Grace is her ability to maintain a sense of privacy.
Yeah.
Despite her massive online presence.
Right.
I mean, she shares a lot, but she's also careful about setting boundaries.
And that's a crucial skill for any content creator.
Yeah.
Especially one who started so young.
Right.
It's easy to get caught up in the pressure to share everything, to constantly be on for your audience.
Right.
But it's important to remember that you're a human being, first and foremost.
And that protecting your mental health and well-being is paramount.
Absolutely.
And Grace seems to have found that balance. She's open and relatable.
Right.
But she's also not afraid to say no to things that don't feel right.
Exactly. She's in control of her narrative.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful message to send, especially to younger viewers who might be struggling with the pressures of social media.
It's like she's showing them that it's okay to have boundaries, to not share everything, to prioritize your own needs.
Right. It's about being authentic and genuine, but it's also about being intentional and protective of your personal space.
So Grace's journey offers some valuable insights into the evolving landscape of online content creation. I mean, what do you think is the biggest takeaway here?
Well, for me, it's the importance of authenticity and adaptability.
Okay.
The online world is constantly changing.
Right.
And to stay relevant, creators need to be willing to evolve and experiment. But at the same time, they need to stay true to themselves and their unique voice.
That's the tough part, right?
It's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
And Grace seems to have mastered it.
It's about finding that sweet spot between, staying relevant and staying true to who you are.
And that's a lesson that applies beyond content creation.
Right.
It's relevant to anyone navigating the complexities of the digital age.
Absolutely. It's about being mindful of your online presence,
Right.
setting healthy boundaries,
Yeah.
and using your platform to express yourself authentically and connect with others in meaningful ways.
And never underestimating the power of a Barbie doll animation.
You never know where your passions might lead you.
You really don't.
Grace's story is proof that even the most unexpected hobbies can turn into successful careers,
Right.
and that the internet can connect people from all corners of the world in ways we never thought possible.
It's truly remarkable.
Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about Grace's success as a content creator, but what about the impact of her content on her viewers?
Oh, that's interesting.
How do you think her videos have shaped the lives of her millions of subscribers?
That's an excellent question.
Yeah.
It's impossible to quantify the impact, but I imagine her content has provided a sense of community, connection, and inspiration for many people.
Especially for young girls who may be looking for role models.
Yeah.
And a sense of belonging.
Absolutely. Grace's authenticity and vulnerability make her incredibly relatable.
Yeah.
And her positive messages about self-love and pursuing your passions are sure to resonate with viewers of all ages. It's like she's created a safe space online where people can feel seen and understood.
Which is incredibly valuable in today's world,
It is.
where it's easy to feel lost and alone.
And her focus on mental health and well-being is so important, especially for younger viewers who are navigating the pressures of social media.
Right.
She normalizes talking about these issues and encourages her audience to prioritize their mental health.
She's definitely a positive force in the online world.
She is.
Now, as we conclude our deep dive into the world of Grace Mulgrew,
Okay.
I want to encourage you to reflect on the impact of the content you consume.
Yeah, what kind of messages are you absorbing?
Are they uplifting and empowering?
Or are they reinforcing negative stereotypes or promoting unhealthy behaviors?
It's about being a conscious consumer
Right.
and choosing content that aligns with your values.
Exactly. We have the power to curate our own online experience and surround ourselves with content that inspires, informs, and uplifts us.
And with that empowering thought, we'll wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive.
It's been a pleasure exploring Grace's journey with you.
Yeah, it's been fascinating to trace her path, from those early Barbie animations to her current position as a role model for so many.
Right. And it really highlights the incredible potential of online platforms, I think.
Yeah.
To connect with people, build communities, and even launch careers.
And to think it all started with, a simple passion. It's a reminder that we should never underestimate the power of our interests,
Oh, absolutely.
no matter how niche they might seem.
Yeah, you pointed out that Grace's Australian background adds a unique element to her content. It's a great example of how embracing your individuality, including your cultural background, can be a major asset.
It definitely adds a layer of authenticity and makes her even more relatable to viewers from all over the world.
And she's showing us that you don't have to conform to any particular mold to be successful.
Right, you could just be yourself.
Exactly, be yourself, quirks and all.
Right.
That's what truly resonates with people.
So if you're out there listening and feeling hesitant about sharing your passions with the world, take a page from Grace's book.
Embrace your creativity.
Yeah.
Find your niche. And don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
Yeah. You never know who you might inspire.
That's right.
Now, before we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Grace Mulgrew, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. Could Grace's trajectory serve as a blueprint for aspiring creators?
Oh, interesting.
Regardless of their specific niche, what lessons can we learn from her journey about the power of authenticity, adaptability, and community building in the digital age?
Well, her story demonstrates that success in the digital world isn't just about talent or luck.
Right.
It's about being genuine, being willing to evolve, and building meaningful connections with your audience.
It's about finding your voice, sharing your story, and creating a space where others feel seen and understood.
And as Grace has shown us, it's possible to achieve all of that while staying true to yourself and your values.
And if you're interested in seeing her content firsthand, be sure to check out her channels Grace's World and Grace's Room.
Yeah, you won't be disappointed.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep diving deep.
If you loved this deep dive, make sure to hit like and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stories of your favorite influencers. Drop a comment below who should we cover next. Stay curious, and see you next time.
Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my